Voters in Taiwan head to the polls tomorrow in an election that's being called a choice between peace and war. That's the message from China as it ramps up military activity around the island, along with a host of punishing economic measures. Joining us with more is David Welch, a professor of political science at the University of Waterloo. Great to have you in studio. Thanks for coming back.
Good to be back. Thanks.
So there are three parties running in this election, just to set this up for everybody at home: the incumbent Democratic Progressive Party, the KMT, and the newly formed Taiwan People's Party. Now, China has made it clear it is against the DPP, but it has not endorsed any party. So how will the outcome of this election, what does it mean for China's attitude towards the island?
Well, it's a good question, and I think it's being misinterpreted pretty broadly in the Western media. You're right that the People's Republic of China does not like the DPP. They see them as separatists. So they have a strong dislike for that particular party and its people. They don't particularly like the KMT or the TPP either, though, and that's because the KMT, although officially still endorses the one China principle, has explicitly rejected the idea of one country, two systems. So there's no terms acceptable to Beijing that the KMT would accept for unification. And the TPP just doesn't really talk about it, right? They try to talk about domestic issues, and their leader has campaigned on, I will engage China and there will be peace, without saying anything about how he's going to do that.
You watch all of this very closely, David, and what are you watching for this weekend? What are you concerned about?
Well, I'm not concerned in the short term. I'm very concerned in the long term, because it looks to me as though China is getting very serious and very impatient about unification between Taiwan and the mainland. And that's never going to happen voluntarily on the part of the Taiwanese. The Taiwanese have been culturally, socially, politically drifting apart from the mainland for decades. And that trend is strong and clear, strongest with the youngest generation. So they're not going back voluntarily. So if China is insistent upon unification, at the end of the day, there's only one way to make that happen. And that's bad news for global politics.
We have right now also this conflict happening in Gaza. We've got the war in Ukraine. But you say Taiwan is the most dangerous place in the world, and even go as far to say as it could become the place where World War III begins. That's a bold statement. What makes Taiwan your biggest concern for that? China
and the United States are on opposite sides of the issue. They both feel extremely strongly about it. They're both nuclear powers. And there's no solution to the Taiwan problem that in the long run is going to be satisfying to both the United States and China.
U.S. President Joe Biden has said he would defend Taiwan in the case of a Chinese invasion, and it doesn't look like China could take the island without triggering a major war. So what makes either of them willing to risk potentially the largest war that the world has ever seen over this island?
At the end of the day, it would have to be a fundamentally emotional decision on the part of the Chinese to try it. It wouldn't be a rational, cool cost-benefit calculation. It would be a very emotional decision. I started my career researching the topic of the justice motive as a cause of war. And the justice motive is an incredibly powerful psychological drive. And when people think that they are dealing with a severe injustice, they take risks, they're bellicose, belligerent, unwilling to negotiate, demand categorical satisfaction of their claims.
Right.
And this is not a recipe for diplomacy. It's not a recipe for negotiation.
Sure.
So
we see that with Russia, Ukraine.
We see this everywhere. This is so common in world politics, and it's been largely ignored by my own field, political science, which has sort of been in love with the idea that all leaders are rational actors that calculate costs and benefits. They're not. They're humans. So this is what makes it very dangerous.
What would be the most peaceful outcome of this election this weekend?
Well, in the short term, I think there will be peace. If there's going to be military conflict over Taiwan, it's probably a few years down the road, just because China doesn't yet have the capability to succeed in that kind of operation. And they may never actually have that capability to succeed. So the key point is to make them believe that they will not succeed, and that's our best hope.
I always think of the world as a giant risk board, and you're looking at geopolitics and who's got ships where and what does that mean. So where would we see potential alliances lining up, given this scenario of, this system of justice and wanting Taiwan?
Well, China would be alone if it decided to attack Taiwan. It really wouldn't have any international support of consequence. Maybe some lip service support, but nothing material. Taiwan has friends. The United States would come to Taiwan's defense. I have no doubt about that myself. I realize that some Taiwanese do have doubt about that, but I do not. Japan, I think, inevitably would get involved. They're right there, and their own territory is within shooting distance of any conflict in the Taiwan Strait. And probably some other countries would also come to Taiwan's defense one way or another on a small scale. So it could be an international response to a Chinese attack.
All right, we'll have to watch this weekend, see the outcome, and maybe check back with you again, David. Thanks for coming in studio.
My pleasure.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.